Read the disclaimer. Doofus. And please contact us through this email address with questions or fan art. Thank you for your support. What do you think you're doing? You shouldn't be eating in your room.
I don't see why this is a problem, Maya.
Because bugs and rats.
Oh, come on, Maya, don't be ridiculous. There's no way that we have a rat problem.
Rats, we're rats. We're the rats. We pray at night, we stalk at night.
Maya, you do realize that those are toys, right? Okay, I know it's kind of become a running gag on this channel to open up an episode with me saying, you know what, I find something weird, but I'm not doing that today. I'm talking about another toy line that hasn't been covered before on this channel. Salutations, denizens of the internet. I'm Firebite27, and let us commence our analysis of Beast Machine's Mega Class Rattrap. In Beast Mode, Rattrap turns into, well, a rat. Or rather, a rat that seems to be carrying both the bubonic plague, mange, gangrene, and I'm pretty sure SCP-217, the clockwork virus. Heck, I don't even think that this rat mode looks like a rodent. Or at least, not one that I'd find on present-day Earth. But, okay, look, I know part of the reason why this figure is so ugly was because there was a massive disconnect between the design team at Hasbro and the people at Mainframe Entertainment that were working on the animation. Like, so far as I'm aware, apparently the toy designs were refined significantly between when production on Beast Machines the show started and when the toy line's production started, so, apparently that's why there's such a disconnect between the toy line and the TV show. And in all honesty, this figure got it closer to the show than most did. Which is to say, acceptably accurate, at least when compared to figures like Silverbolt, and at least the damn thing has some gimmicks that are serviceable enough when compared to figures like Silverbolt, such as the light piping, or rotating the tail which causes the head to shake back and forth while the ears twitch around. Unfortunately, this gimmick can result in him tilting his head slightly when you don't want him to, but it's scarcely an issue, honestly, and I don't really think people are going to want to leave him in this mode in the first place, I guess. Probably not, right? Or you can stand him up on his hind legs, which doesn't have any problems whatsoever, and holy shit, it's actually possessed! Maya, you take care of the articulation segment while I go get holy water and a cross!
In rat mode, Rattrap has an opening jaw. A hinge at the shoulders of his front legs, hinges at the knees, and hinges at the paws. The back legs meanwhile have a rotation at the hip, rotation beneath that part, hinge at the upper leg, hinge at the lower leg, and both the front toes and the back toe are on a hinge.
Okay, so now that I've returned from making sure that my surroundings have been fortified enough to withstand a demonic invasion, let me talk about why I think this figure's inaccuracy actually helped it improve on the show model. First and foremost has to be the colors. Mostly the metallic green. I think it works a lot better here than it did in the show because it's a darker shade of green, and it doesn't look nearly as sickly. Next up is the silver, which they used a lot more than they did in the show, which again I think helps it. It just sort of pops more when compared to the red and the green. Speaking of the red, I also like it a lot, mostly because it's so dark and it looks really nice.
And the yellow works too because they've been so reserved with it on this figure. Having said that, it's still a bit of an eyesore, unfortunately, and I really wish that weren't the case because this figure is actually really fun to mess around with and pose. Heck, don't quote me on this, but I think we might actually be looking at the most underrated Transformers toy of all time right now. Anyways, this figure is a Mega Class, which I think means it's a bit of a midpoint between Voyager and Deluxe. I don't honestly know. Anyways, in order to give you all an idea of how big this figure is, here it is next to my last review, Reveal the Shield Lugnut. The last Rattrap figure I reviewed on this channel, Transmetal Rattrap Fox Kids Edition. My next review, Kingdom Dinobot. Another obscenely hideous good guy, Titan's Return Repugnus. And of course, a standard Qtama, standard can of sparkling water, and Broadside. So in conclusion, yeah, Rattrap's rat mode is kind of fun. I mean, it's hideous, but I still like it and it is fun. And I think that's the bottom line I'm trying to get at here. Anyways, Rattrap, he is transformed, I guess?
Sing along, all you need to understand is everything you know is wrong.
Yeah. I have to say, this figure certainly isn't a looker, appearing like the result of a three-way between Slenderman, Freddy Krueger, and the doll from Child's Play. I mean, just look at this poor bastard's ugly mug. It does have this sort of weird jaw-opening gimmick that you can activate by pulling up the brain cover, but it's just so horrifying and ugly and not very good. Everything about Rattrap just feels so wrong. Especially the thin proportions of each limb when compared to the massive chungus chunk that is his upper torso. Like, I'm sure if it could talk, it would ask me to sacrifice the children I haven't had yet. Or he'd ask me to sacrifice my kidneys to him, which again, I do not have.
I thought we agreed to never discuss my black market dealings, Bite.
Wait, you've been selling my kidney beans on the black market?
Pretend I didn't mention that.
Okay, now that I know that my channel mascot probably owes me a pair of internal organs, let's talk about something else. Much like his beast mode, Rattrap's robot mode boasts a bunch of gimmicks, including light piping, the ability to turn him into the token wheelchair-bound kid from every single 90s animated TV show, the ability to turn his wheels into shuriken, which he can't possibly use as weapons in robot mode, using the tail as some manner of whip, and a previously undiscovered gimmick, screaming in existential agony. Unfortunately, now I must discuss the issues with this figure, because there are quite a lot. First complaint. The great articulation here is really limited by the fact that he has spindly limbs that can't support the top-heavy torso. Second complaint, the wheels are really tacked on, and the third complaint is that you can't really use them for the wheelchair mode. They can't rotate freely enough to be like whizzed around the ground, and they are super tight, which normally wouldn't be an issue, but these are wheels. They aren't supposed to be tight. And furthermore, I think part of the reason why they're so tight is to accommodate this weird shuriken gimmick that I mentioned earlier. You just have to rotate it a certain direction and then a trifecta of stag beetle mandibles just pop out. They don't really serve any purpose, and like I mentioned earlier, you can't use them as weapons in the hands, so it's kinda pointless. I mean, at least if you could use them as weapons, then there's an argument that they would enhance the poses somewhat, but they can't. Speaking of poses, Maya, time to talk about the articulation.
In robot mode, Rattrap has a ball-jointed head, moving jaw, rotation at the shoulders, bicep swivel, upper arm bend, lower arm bend, wrist bend, ball-jointed hips, thigh swivels, double knee bend, ball-jointed ankles and hinged heel spurs.
So overall, this may very well be one of the single most strangest robot modes ever to exist in the history of Transformers. It's so strange, disproportionate, ugly, and not necessarily good. But God, it is just so fun. I'm not sure if I've communicated that enough during this review, but it's just so much fun to play with and mess around with. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of breaking my brain right now. Anyways, before I implode into a black hole of contradictions, let's do the size comparisons. Here's Rattrap next to Lugnut, Rattrap, Chopperface, Repugnus, a standard Qtama, a standard can of sparkling water, and Broadside. So overall, I'd have to say that Beast Machine's Rattrap is a pretty remarkable figure. Part of me thinks that the reason this figure isn't more popular is because, well, people didn't give it a chance because of how much of a departure this was from Beast Wars. And honestly, that kind of makes me sad, because this is a pretty fun figure. It's got nice chunky plastic, it's got some pretty cool and unintrusive gimmicks, and honestly, I've just had a lot of fun playing around with it. So, yeah, I'd say that while it isn't good, I can't bring myself to hate it.
In all honesty, I'm completely surprised by how much I like this figure. I was kind of anticipating being disappointed in it, but it's actually blown me away somewhat. It's got a lot of great articulation for a figure that was released, I think, in 1999 or 2000. And, oh god, it's just so fun. Having said that, it's not perfect, and just, I'm not sure how to score it. It's bad, but I enjoy it ironically, so I don't think I can really score this figure. It's just so weird. I like it. You can see that it's breaking my brain a bit. But, of course, I'm going to have to give a special thanks to Dale Tippett of the Optimus Primecast for lending me this figure. The Optimus Primecast is on a bit of a hiatus right now, but go over to that channel and subscribe when they start doing new videos for the Optimus Primecast. And that being said, this is Firebite27, over and out. And don't forget... Ryan.exe has stopped working.